They thought she was just the quiet girl who folded blankets in the field tent. No one knew she once ran through gunfire with a wounded man on her back, until the colonel himself said, "You saved the entire unit." Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The sun had barely risen over the dust-swept camp when the argument began. A convoy had been ambushed the night before, and the soldiers were tense, tired, and angry. In the middle of it all stood Lena Hart, her sleeves rolled up, her hair tied back with a strip of torn cloth. She was the one who kept the field tent running, stitching uniforms, cleaning wounds, and never saying much. Most thought she was a volunteer aide, just another helper. But that morning, when the injured came in, something in her changed. Her hands stopped trembling. Her eyes sharpened. The tent filled with shouting, "He's bleeding out. We need a medic." But Lena was already moving. "Move aside," she snapped, her voice low but firm. No one listened at first, until she grabbed the compress, pressed deep into the soldier's wound, and barked, "Clamp." Now, the others froze. She knew exactly what to do. Every cut, every angle, every second mattered, and she acted like someone who'd done this 100 times before. Outside, thunder rolled across the distant ridge, or maybe it was mortar fire. Inside the tent, silence fell except for the ragged breaths of the wounded. Lena's hands were steady, surgical. She didn't even flinch when blood splattered across her face. When the bleeding stopped, the soldier gasped for air. Alive. Lena exhaled. Only then did she notice everyone staring. One young private whispered, "How do you know all that?" She didn't answer. She just turned away, washing her hands, her shoulders tense. But the whispers spread through the camp like wildfire. "She's not just a helper. She's trained, maybe even combat medic trained." No way. The brass would have said something. By nightfall, even the colonel had heard. He walked straight into the tent, tall, calm, eyes unreadable. "You Hart?" he asked. She stood, stiff, wiping her hands. "Yes, sir." He looked at her table, the makeshift surgical area, the organized bandages, the sleeping wounded. Then he looked back at her. "Where'd you learn field medicine like that?" Lena hesitated. Her throat tightened. "I used to serve. 2 years. Army Medical Corps. I was discharged after my convoy got hit." The colonel's face changed. A flicker of recognition. "Kandahar." She nodded slowly. He took a step closer. "Then it was you." The room fell quiet. Even the canvas walls seemed to still. The colonel's voice softened. "You were the one who ran back into the blast zone to pull 3 men out. You were listed missing. They thought you died that night." Lena's eyes shimmered, the memory washing over her. The burning trucks, the screams, the unbearable light. She had survived, but the guilt had never left her. So she'd hidden her name, her past, and rebuilt her life in silence. The colonel straightened. "You saved my unit that night," he said quietly, "and you saved another today." A murmur rippled through the soldiers standing by. Some looked down in shame for the way they'd ignored her. Others nodded with newfound respect. Lena tried to speak, but no words came. The colonel turned to the room and said firmly, "From this moment on, she's not just the field tent girl. She's Sergeant Hart, U.S. Army medic, and you owe her your lives." The tent erupted. Applause, cheers, a few tearful smiles. For the first time in years, Lena lifted her chin. The weight she'd carried alone finally began to fade. Outside, the night air felt cleaner. The stars burned brighter. Somewhere beyond the horizon, another battle waited. But tonight, she finally felt peace. Because courage doesn't need recognition to be real. It only waits for the moment it's seen. And sometimes the quietest hero in the tent turns out to be the reason everyone else survives. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe and share your thoughts below. I read every single comment, and your words keep these stories alive.